Dean Corll, aka the Candyman, was born on December 24, 1939 in Indiana. He was a serial killer who abducted, tortured, and murdered a minimum of 28 boys. He was drafted to the Army in '64 and shortly applied for discharge on the grounds that he was needed in his family's business. Dean divulged to some close friends that during this time he realized he was gay and had his first homosexual encounter. Corll's nickname derived from the fact that he worked in his family's candy factory. This occupation gave him easy access to children. Between 1970 and 1973, Dean, along with two teenage accomplices, embarked on a brutal murder spree. They would kidnap or lure boys to their home, then strap them to a torture board where the heinous acts began. Each was killed either by strangulation or shooting. One night, his accomplice Elmer Wayne Henley, along with a male friend and his teenage girlfriend, came to spend the night at Dean's murder cabin. Dean was highly upset at this. Henley woke up that night handcuffed and gagged alongside the other two. Dean was set on killing the three, but Henley convinced him to let him go so he can join in on the assault instead. The moment Dean turned his back, Henley grabbed the pistol and shot Dean multiple times until his body dropped. While the three waited on the porch for the police, Henley told the other male survivor, "If you wasn't my friend, I could have gotten $200 for you." Robert Lee Yates, aka the Grocery Bag Killer, was born on May 27, 1952 in Washington State. His first two murders was in 1975 when he shot a couple enjoying a picnic. The year after that, he got married to his wife Linda, with whom he had 5 children with. In 1977, Yates enlisted in the Army to become a pilot. He served over 20 years before retiring. Instead of enjoying his retirement with his family, he led a double life, killing 13 women alone from 1996 to 1998. High percentage of those were prostitutes he solicited in his Ford van. Most of them had a couple of plastic bags over their head before he shot them multiple times. The bodies were dumped in rural locations throughout Spokane. One of his victims managed to escape and filed a police report for assault and robbery. She described the man's features, vehicle, and status as a National Guard. Yates was arrested on April 18, 2000 for the murder of one of his victims. A search warrant for his car, which was identified, revealed blood linked to one of the murders, and DNA tying Yates to 12 more. He was charged with a total of 15 murders, and thanks to Washington State Supreme Court ruling in 2018, his death penalty was commuted to life in prison without possibility of parole. In 2010, a man named Bruce McArthur, a former landscaper, embarked on a sinister journey that would span over 7 years. In 2017, the Toronto police began an investigation into a series of 11 missing persons in the city's LGBTQ community. The disappearances seemed unrelated at first. Bruce McArthur's name came up. Police surveilling Bruce decided to apprehend him shortly after they saw a young man enter his apartment on January 18, 2018. Believing the man's life was at risk, the officers found the young man restrained on a bed when they entered Bruce's apartment. The police had discovered a hidden graveyard on property he worked on, unearthing the remains of several victims. Police seized electronic devices from the apartment. Bruce had hundreds of post-mortem photos of his victims. He took stage photos of the bodies, typically with ropes around their necks or with them nude in a fur coat. Some photos had them with their heads and beards shaved, with Bruce having kept their hair in Ziploc bags. On January 29, Bruce pleaded guilty to the 8 first-degree murder charges that he was facing, ending the possibility of any trial. On February 8, he was sentenced to life imprisonment with no parole.